become
what does the company gain in return? Once they help the students, what are the benefits to an industry? Why will they accept this on-the-job training?
Really, the company, what happens is that we have built a trust, that's important, and they would like to help the students to be trained. But at the end, the company also wants a work to be done. When a task is given, it has to be completed because they're making money also, they're business-oriented people. So they don't so much, when you put people in there, students in there, they have to get something also. So the output of the product, the normal running of the industry is not hampered by a student just getting in there. So we are very careful in there. So when we place a student in there, we must able to help the company produce what the company is trying to get, make a profit out of it, while he's being trained also. So the company at the end is satisfied. At the end he's training someone, but he doesn't lose. He makes also profit because the student becomes a part and parcel of the company work to make money out of every day. And they are satisfied. That is why most of our students, they get there with a good attitude, work attitude, and they are able to learn and help the company also to move up and to perform what really they are there for the company.
So we move on to maybe the negative side of this. Would there be some experiences that we have placed, or as the ITO, you have placed somebody who did not perform well?
So this is one of the biggest risks, if we say, risk taking. In certain instances we lose a name because Don Bosco's name is very important in the industry, a relationship that we don't want to break. So the school is also hard when it comes to situations wherein a boy we place in there and doesn't perform as what we expect and the industry's expectations. And that the relationship begins to wither out or hinder us from continuing our training or students being taken into the OJT, on-the-job training. So incidents like sometimes the boys, a student has personal problems and does not attend his work which is required that day. And at the end of the company, or the students may not inform the company when he's sick, you know. And then the company loses a day because he was given a task to finish and he doesn't go to work and does not work. So we have experience where the company will come in and say, okay, Don Bosco, you have given me a student, he did not perform well. And then we try our very best because we have also evaluation booklets, forms given to the industries that they can also evaluate our students while they're there. That is important. So when they finish the training, they have to return back all evaluation sheet by their supervisors or managers, cited that this guy has performed well in this work or these attitudes, and then this fellow needs to improve on this. So we quickly get all this information coming from the company, and then we sit down to the school, we go through it and try to improve and help the students to train them so that they won't repeat that in the industry. So in a way, we try to forfeit that impression or note from the company. So we try to improve every time. The expectation, the evaluation from the company is very important for us.
So, for example, this thing happened, and what would be the consequences for the student, particular student, who did not perform well?
So we come down very hard on that one. And this, I think last year, I had 2 students who did not perform well, and they were fired by the company. They were terminated immediately because they go to work and they don't report, and the company informs us, and we try to help the students, but does not improve. Quick termination. So when they come back for graduation, we say no, we don't register them as our students. We are on them, and many of them they know them. So they try to keep up to our standards, try to keep the name. When they go to the company, they must be very cautious of how they perform in the industry because it will also affect their certificate. They will not be given the certificate.
But how do we prevent, I'll move on to another topic, how do we prevent the companies from abusing this kind of arrangement, like making the student who is a little bit young to work overtime? Is there a way to monitor that?
So in the guidelines we have certain about 14 guidelines that we have. The company has also responsibility over our student, and we as an institution and our representative, the student in the company, we have that dialogue and we agree on to it. So they know where they should have a limit. Because we also say that the situations where a company would want to employ someone very well is on training, we normally come in and we have to really agree and make sure that, because the student is still on training, they cannot just simply employ some or a student of ours. So we really need to make a proper agreement, and also the relationship in the work situation. So there are guidelines that the employee or the employer or the company cannot really overboard our student, because they are just a trainee, not as someone who they employed already. So they have to know also. So we agree on that agreement. So when they go, our students go into the company knows exactly what is expected.
So in all your years as IPO, have you had instances where there are abuses by the companies?
The abuses in the company rare. I would say it's all past years. I don't see really that. It's really, we are satisfied when a student finishes the training, and we are satisfied with it. And the companies at the end also satisfied having someone there to be trained, and also someone who is there to help them to get what they really want.
That's good. Okay, so for these young people, that they have some changes in their lives because of this on-the-job training. So aside from the work attitude that is being given and the skills, what other changes do you think does the on-the-job training give to the student or to the young person?
So aside from the attitudes, really is the way of life. Really, when they come here, when they go to the industries, it's a pathway to get themselves employed, and they live a good life, a better life after. So they bring up their own better families, they employ, they look after their families, they have to put food on the table. So the OJT, in a way, the training that we have, it's a bridge towards employment, and this is the thing that is very important. Before the students goes into the company, we always tell them and emphasize this one. This is an opening for you to be employed. So once you go for a training, prove to the industry, the manager, supervisor, the people down the line, even the secretary, you are good for them. You can be employed. So at the end, most of our training, before the graduation, they have already assured for them for this year employment. Yeah, sign an agreement. Go for graduation, and here is your job. And that's the biggest satisfaction that we have for our students. So most of people who would like to come to Don Bosco, because they know that after the training, they'll be employed.
So what are the challenges to being an IPO and the on-the-job training program?
So the challenges that I basically now this year I would like to get is that I would like to build more trust. And now the company, now the world is changing, and the standards of the industry is changing, and the training here we have must also in face with the changes in the industry. We cannot just stay here and train the same old type of training that we have. So that's why it's important for us to listen to the company and know what are the changes, what are the basic expectations in the industry. So when we train our students here, at least they have that link and awareness of what is expected of the industry. That is, I think, really other institutions.
And you mentioned about other institutions. Are there other institutions who provide the same kind of training to their students?
So previously, I think a few years ago, it was only Don Bosco. And this is one of the biggest challenges also we have, because many also are getting into this training. So we are also competing. So that is where we come and see how best that we have to groom and train our product so that they be taken in and they're given a slot, and the other institutions may not. So that's where we, in a way, we compete. How good my product is and is their product. So that's the biggest challenge we have. The competition is very high now. Almost all the institutions are getting their implant training or on-the-job training.
But despite all the competitions, do you think your institution is still dominating this kind of training?
Yes, we can. And this is important when we have a proper scheduling programs that we meet here and sit down and talk about how can we be able to uplift and train, so that when our students can have at least 2 or 3 steps ahead from those institutions. And really, number one is attitude. Number one is really attitude, because the company, they don't so much need a very skillful person. They need a good attitude, a humble person who gets into there. They can able to train. There's an atmosphere of willingness to learn. That is what they always ask. When a company comes and asks for me, for example, many times they look for people for employment on the spot for our past people. And what they ask for is this a good fellow? Is he hardworking? Is he humble? And then all those attributes are very important, and this is the one that we really want to get into our students here. So when they go to the industry, I think they will be more prepared, and they are being prepared, and then prepared from the other institutions. Maybe other institutions, they do try their best, but maybe they may be concentrating so much on the skill and knowledge level,
but the attitude.
Attitude, they may miss out. That's where our point is, and we beat them on that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Martin, for your time, and I'm sure all our listeners were able to get our point, the importance of on-the-job training to skills training. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.